Welcome to Krenko 10th Street Kingpin. Hope you're excited. As far as opening hands, I already clicked the keep button. And but anyway, you can see that we're going to keep it. So let's go lead off with Mountain. Let's go for Golem Skin Gauntlets. Oh, I love this card. I just always imagine like whatever creature's wearing it just being in some underground like fighting ring and like, oh, he's got the Golem Skin Gauntlets on and just punching people. Anyway, welcome to Krenko. We've got Krenko versus Krenko, and we're playing against Damon, which is a friend of the Discord, friend of the channel. So best of luck to our opponent, and let's have some fun. Maybe we get all the goblins on the battlefield. That's what we're going for today. So, in Krenko versus Krenko, we're playing Krenko 10th Street Kingpin. Whenever Krenko 10th Street Kingpin attacks, put a +1 counter on it, then create a number 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power. Playing against Krenko Mob Boss. And let's see what we run into. Sting, okay. That might actually be pretty good. Do we want to go, I think we just go Rogue's Passage? Yeah, let's go Impact Tremors, because we're playing against red, so we don't really, Chaos Warp or something like that would deal with the Impact Tremors, so we should be in a pretty good spot. That might be the difference in this game if we can have a lot of goblins. Impact Tremors should hopefully make a pretty big difference. So we're playing against Krenko, Mob Boss. Tap, create X11 red goblin creature tokens, where X is the number of goblins that you control. So, really excited. We've got Attack Step Krenko, we've got Tap Down Krenko, and if you're a fan of goblins, shout out to Mudsta. Hopefully we end up with a lot of goblins on the battlefield. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you want to get into Magic, let's say you want to build your very own Krenko deck, be sure to hit up MTGOTraders. They got you covered for any sort of card needs that you may have. And also shout out to inkgaming.com. You can use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off your order and help the channel at the same time. Or you can click the link down in the description below. That'll apply the coupon. Or you can go to inkgaming.com, type in JOLT539. You can see some of the cool playmats that I've designed myself. So, get to see some of those out there. There's some pretty neat ones. Ooh, drawn to Valduk. Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier that the only non-goblin card in here is Moonveil Dragon, but I forgot that Valduk in here is definitely not a dragon. So, and I think equip for 2. Do we want to go? Now, unfortunately, we can't go Sting to bounce it back to the hand. We can go Sting to bounce the goblin back, but I think at this point we just go Krenko. We got to keep up with these goblins somehow. So let's get Krenko down on the battlefield, and then we'll go and pass the turn. Keep our fingers crossed for some sort of land drop or even something like Wheel of Fortune. That would be really nice to hit. But yeah, be sure to check those playmats out. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to that, if you'd like to get your name at the beginning or the ending of the credits, there's a link down in the description below. And if you do, much obliged. If you don't, hey, just tell somebody about the channel. So that'll be pretty nice. Anyway, now it's officially free time. We can have some fun. Now, as far as this matchup goes, with Krenko, if you didn't see the other video, if you started with this video first, this build of Krenko is pretty fun. You know, there's a nice mix of Volt. It's almost kind of like equal parts Voltron, Goblin Tribal, and Enter the Battlefield Tribal. Well, when I say Enter the Battlefield Tribal, I just mean like Enter the Battlefield effect. So you've got like something like Impact Tremors and oh, okay, I got worried. I didn't know what that was for a second. You got things like Impact Tremors, Proforos. We also have Pandemonium, and Pandemonium is one of those cards you have to be really, really careful with. And if we can find it and get it down, then I like that. Okay, so we do run into Bravado. Now, if we swing with Bravado, that's going to be... It's going to get a 2, that's going to be 2, and that's going to be 4/5. We can survive a swing in, so let's go Bravado, and that'll really kind of start to get these goblins going. And Bravado is such a nice effect in Krenko, because we're going to get that +1, and the cool thing about it is that... we don't really want to swing into a board state like this. We can only take care of one goblin, but at least at this point, that's going to make it a... I think I got 3/4. No, it's going to make it a 4/5 because we get the +1 counter. We get 2 more goblins on the battle. There we go. Look at that. Get a little bit of Impact Tremors happening up top. It's always yield to that. And if you think about building either Krenko, I cannot stress how good Impact Tremors is. It's just kind of like free real estate. You just end up with a lot of damage. So we got Krenko swinging in for a 4/5. And Bravado is really putting in some work. And then we do have Betroth the Fire. So that way if we don't hit the lane for the turn, we can end up going Betroth the Fire. We can start to sacrifice some of those goblins. Now, that does allow us to at least net 1 more extra goblin on the battlefield. So even though we sacrifice it, it's going to go down from Bravado. That's still going to give us a really good chunk because sacrifice an untapped creature, enchant your creature gets +2/+0. And then that's the other cool thing about Betroth the Fire is that, let's say that we get it on Krenko. If we end up with a lot of goblins on the battlefield, then we can go for the sacrifice Krenko to give everybody +2/+0. It's kind of like a nice little alpha swing. Or we can simply just, for the greater goblin good, sacrifice all the goblins and then make them a 4/5. Now, let's take a look at the goblin token. So this is a brand new goblin token with the Krenko. So he's a 10th Street hooligan. He likes steal after the people flee, but before the enemy arrives, it's grabbing time. So I like that. So he's going to be stealing some stuff. And the cool, I don't know, it's just kind of funny seeing a goblin. It reminds me of old school Magic Carver. It's just kind of sitting there with a broken window, that nasty rusty sword. All right, so we do end up hitting a lane for the turn. I like that. So we go mountain, and I think at this point we just go Betroth the Fire. We can go Sting if we want to. We can go Sting, bounce Krenko back to the hand. They're gonna have to recast it. Yeah, I think I like that. Because that's going to cut them, they're going to have to recast for it. Yeah, let's do that. And that also allows us to go Betroth too. So let's go Sting. That's going to be 1/2. But now we've finally gotten the point where it's not going to be great for us to swing in because they've got a lot of goblins. But I kind of like forcing the issue. So let's get Sting down. He's going to get that goblin wand and send out Krenko back up top. And the main thing is we just want to kind of go for a tempo play. We want to force them to spend a little bit of extra mana to recast Krenko, whatever they've got in their hand. That'll be 1 more damage. And we go Betroth the Fire on Krenko. And even if we end up losing Krenko, we're going to take a lot of goblins with him. So that's one of the main, that's a very goblin thing to do, is take care of her. So we go Betroth the Fire. We're going to sacrifice Sting, because either we have the echo cost, we're not going to be paying that. And at this point, we just want to get as many goblins on the battlefield. So this is what we're going to be doing. So we're going to go ahead and sacrifice another goblin and get +2/+0. There we go. We're going to end up making it a 8/3, but that's still going to get the bravado on the back end. So we're at least going to see a goblin block, but let's go and swing in. That's going to make it a 9/4 with that +1 counter. Oh yeah, some good magic right here. We're going to swing in, 9/4 with the counter, and then it's really going to amplify with the bravado once those 9 goblins end up hitting the battlefield. Oh, look at that. Oh, always yield to these impact trimmers. And if we wanted to, and if they don't end up blocking, they're going to have to block on a goblin. It doesn't have trample at this point. But what we can end up doing is it is an 18/13. We can, if they don't block, we'll just sacrifice a few more, and that'll be damage, but we'll more than likely see a goblin block. There we go. Thermal Alchemist, yep. And then that'll leave the other goblins left on the battlefield. But like I mentioned earlier, this is what I was talking about with how good Betrothed is. We've got a lot of goblins on the battlefield. If we end up sacrificing Krenko, once they all decide to swing in, we can give them all +2/+0, and cash in some really nice damage. Anything else, I think we're simply just going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So at this point right now, even if we can't swing past all the goblins on their side of the battlefield, they are sitting at 10, and we are sitting at 18 total power toughness with Krenko. So that's going to be enough in impact trimmers right there alone. So we'll see what else they end up getting down. But looks like Krenko's at least going to be able to cash in some pretty good damage with that impact trimmers. We'll see what they get going for the turn. Okay, so we're going to see Krenko come down. Now, they do have a Godo Bandit Warlord, and they're going to shift the Lightning Greaves over onto Krenko. They can swing in for 7 with these extra goblins. That will end up being 15 total goblins on their side of the battlefield. But we'll see how they decide to swing in, because at this point right now, that's going to be an extra combat step. So we'll see what they end up grabbing with Godo, but let's go ahead and push in. But I think at this point, you can definitely see where, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, having impact trimmers is typically the difference maker. The difference maker in a game like this, where you've got goblins versus goblins and a lot of just end of the battlefield effects. And it goes to show you how good this card is. Okay, and our opponent said, actually, they drew the actual card that they needed with Godo Bandit, so that's a little bit of a bummer. Let's go and just swing in with Krenko at this point right now. That's going to be more than enough damage with them entering the battlefield. And we'll get Krenko to swing in, and that'll close it out. Yeah, unfortunately, I think they drew the card that they needed with Godo to kind of go off. So we'll get these impact trimmers on the stack. All right, there we go. Put our opponent all the way down to 0. You can definitely see we've got a lot of goblins on the opponent's side of the battlefield, got a lot of goblins going on our side, but that impact trimmers is going to be the difference maker and pretty much dealt a lot of that damage to our opponent. So anyways, if you enjoyed the video, Like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Krenko 10th Street Kingpin. Hope you're excited. We got Goblins versus Thopters playing against Damon too, which is a friend of the Discord. So hopefully it's a fun match and best of luck to our opponent. As far as opening hand goes, we've got one shrine. So, let's just go and mulligan. And yeah, we can make this work. I'd like to have a little bit more card advantage, but yeah, I like it. I think we can do this. So let's go and keep on this one. And we'll get the scribe wheel. Oh, there we go. Put Wheel of Fortune on top in a heartbeat. So let's go Mountain. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. We're playing Krenko, the 10th Street Kingpin himself. Whenever Krenko attacks, put a +1 count on it. Then create a number of 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power. Playing against Sai, Master Thopters. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Then for a 2-mana activation, which I always forget when I play Sai. So if you ever watch a side video and wonder why I never sacrifice it, because I never remember, we go Mountain and we go Goblin Bombardment, and yeah, kick it back over to our opponent. For a 2-mana activation, sacrifice 2 artifacts, then draw a card. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you want to get into Commander, 1 versus 1 Commander, Commander multiplayer, Modern, Legacy, Penny Dreadful, whatever floats your boat, be sure to check out MTGOTraders. They will certainly take care of you, and they have a wonderful selection of cards for you to choose from. So I think at this point, do we want to walk into a counter spell? Let's just do some setting up. I think I like this. So we go Goblin Kingpin. Yeah, let's go Goblin King. 1, 2, 3. That way, if they do have a counter spell, what we're going to do is we're just going to slow roll some nice value on the board. That way, once Krenko finally does hit the battlefield, I'll be in a pretty good position. But yeah, be sure to check out MTGOTraders. They've got you covered for whatever sort of card needs you may have. And also, shout out to inkedgaming.com. You can use coupon code JOLT or click on the link down in the description below. Or go to their website, type in JOLT539. You can see all the cool playmat designs that I put up there. Either way, it'll help you out with the channel. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to get your name at the beginning or the ending of the credits, there's a link down in the description below to join my Patreon. So now it is officially free time. Let's get old Krenko down. Our opponent is tapped out. The shields are down. So let's go Krenko. It does leave us open to Force of Will, but I think we're pretty good spot. Now, do we want to push in? No, we'll just simply go. Well, we could try to chip shot in for 2 damage. A Goblin King. Yeah, let's go for it. I always like this little bit of damage. If our opponent blocks, they block. If not, we get in for 2 damage, and that might end up being the difference at the end of the game. So it always feels good to get in for a little bit of extra damage. All right, so they're going to block. They sniffed it out. That's fine. We could technically sack 2 of our creatures to deal 2 more damage to side, but we will not be doing that. So we're going to get in for a little chip shot damage for 2, put them down to 28, and then we'll pass the turn. Next turn, we probably want to get down Trailblazer's Boots. Unfortunately, we are playing against mono white, but they just played a non-basic land, that Darksteel Citadel, so we're good to go for Trailblazer's Boots. Whenever land an opponent's tap for mana, okay, that's not too bad. We can definitely play around a mana web. And then Soul Ring too. Oh, look at that. If you've ever wanted to build a fun deck, build Sai. And you can build it as budget as possible. Just throw a bunch of islands in there, grab all of your good artifacts, and just go to town with Thopters. That is one of the best things out there. Now, with the mana web on the battlefield, as soon as we tap down some mana, it's going to tap down everything that we have. So I think at this point, if we just go Roast on Sai... Yeah, that'll be a good way to kind of set him back just a little bit. So let's do that. So we go Roast on Sai. That's going to be... Actually, we're just going to go and tap down all the mana right now. Oh, no. Oh, bummer. I thought we tapped down that last mountain. We can't go back now. All right, so we're going to have to just straight up go for Roast. A little bit of a misclick on my part. Like, I know what Mana Web does. I even explained it, but you can see where sometimes if you're not careful with your clicking, that does happen. So unfortunately, we missed out on one extra mana. That would have been Trailblazer's Boots, which would have been pretty nice this turn. But hey, that happens sometimes. Let's go and push in. We're going to swing in with Krenko, and that's going to be a 2/3. Yeah, and I don't think we want to swing in with Goblin King, because they could block with those double Thopters. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a few extra Goblins on the... Oh, look at that. We got some good Gerblins on the battlefield. And then anything else will go and pass the turn. So now that we do have some good Goblins going, we've got these... and that's one of the good things about playing this Krenko deck, is that... technically, when I say Krenko, I think the original Krenko. When you're playing 10th Street Krenko, and that's one of the cool things, is that you're gonna get rewarded for playing Goblin Tribal. There's a lot of times where you need to get a lot of goblins on the battlefield for original Krenko, but with 10th Street Krenko, man, you can just get down a Tribal Lord, and that just helps push whatever you need to go. And especially if they've got something like Mountain Walk with Goblin King. Oh yeah. All right, so we run into Worn Power Stone. And I think what we wanted, so yeah, let's go Trailblazers Boots. So we go Trailblazers Boots. And see, that's where I messed up. Okay, because Magic Online untapped one of those lands, and that was the weird part. All right, so we're gonna go Trailblazers Boots, and that's gonna add that last 2 mana, and we can equip Trailblazers Boots. Yeah, because I knew I clicked all the lands, but then, and thankfully Magic Online does that. But there's sometimes to where if you tap too much mana too quick, Magic Online is like, hey, you didn't mean to do that. So, all right, so we're gonna stick Trailblazers Boots on here. And we're going to get a few extra goblins coming across. And I think at this point, we're just going to be aggressive. We're not going to swing it with Goblin King, but we're going to get that extra counter going. And that's one of the cool things about Krenko is that it gets a counter on there. So even when you're running something like Trailblazers Boots, you're going to get that really nice stack effects. It's 3 goblins a turn, 4 goblins a turn, 5 goblins a turn. Some good magic. All right, so that's going to get till 2 damage to Sai. And do we want to any target? Do we want to pop a Sai really quick? Think so. Yeah, this is that's one of the reasons why we have all these goblins in here. When you deal that extra damage, send 1 damage over to Sai. As much as I'd love to keep Sai on the battlefield, when you just start casting a ton of artifacts, it's just really hard to do anything to stop that. So let's go Goblin Bombardment on Sai, and we're gonna sack 1 more goblin. All right, so it's going to send Sai back to the command zone, and then we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. Yeah, Sai is one of those commanders that if you leave just Sai on the battlefield unchecked, you're not. It's not something you want to do. It's kind of like leaving Nekusar on the battlefield. That's one of those that the longer he sticks around, just unchecked, the worse it is for you. And it's the same thing with Sai. And now you can see we're simply just Goblin King and Krenko 10th Street. We've got a very sizable goblin army. Now, we do have to watch out for stuff like Aetherize. We do have to watch out for Cyclonic Rift. At least next turn, we've got 10... Yeah, we've got 10 points of goblin damage coming across. That's going to be 14. And if we swing in with Goblin King, that's going to be 16. And then we sack the goblins out with Goblin Bombardment. We might be able to close it out, depending on what they get down. Yeah, I think with Sword of the Animus and Darksteel Citadel. But since we're playing against a friend of the channel, we'll probably end up probably play another game after this, just to kind of see what's happening. But at least that was you get to see the raw power of the Gerblins. So let's go and push you in. Our opponent's going to swing in with the Thopter token. All right, and then we draw 2 Mizzy Immortals. Let's go and swing across on this one. Our opponent just toss up the good game in the chat. So we're going to go ahead and swing it across. That's going to be all the goblins coming down. And like I mentioned, that's good. Oh, look at that. Even get more with that Goblin Bombardment. But yeah, this is very much textbook what you want to be happening with Krenko. Get some really nice, imagine if we had Porphyros on the battlefield. If we just tapped out for Porphyros really quick, that would have been just more than enough when those goblins came down. And so let's go 1 more damage up top. That's going to make Krenko very happy. We're going to close it out. Good game to our opponent, and then we'll probably just end up playing another game. So, all right, catch you in the next game. Welcome to Krenko, 10th Street Kingpin. As far as opening hand goes, yes, I like this. It's not super aggressive, but it's got everything that we really want to do in this deck. Get some free equip cost on the Krenko to start working towards those Gerblins. And we've got Key to the City, which is going to make Krenko unblockable, and then Impact Trimmers, which is going to take advantage of those nice little Gerblins entering the battlefield. So we're playing Krenko, 10th Street Kingpin. I know I've already covered it, but I don't know how I'm going to splice these videos together. So, but anyway, whenever Krenko attacks, put a +1 counter on it, then create a number 1/1 red goblin creature tokens equal to Krenko's power. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's explain what just happened in a second. Let's go Mountain. Let's go Sai, and then pass the turn to our opponent. So sometimes you hit F6 and it auto yields through your turn. And I do that, if I'm covering commanders, and then I almost auto-yielded through my turn and did not make the lane drop, so that would have not been good. That's why I was like, because I'm trying to hit the not auto-yield button as quickly as possible. We're playing against Sai, Master Thopters. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. Then for a 2-mana activation, sacrifice 2 artifacts, draw a card. Now, we do run into a Goblin Tribal Lord and Goblin Trashmaster, which is... be pretty nice against Sai, if you think about it. Let's go Mountain, and then I think we just go Probably impact trimmers, because if they've got a counter spell, I want this to get countered and not key to the city, because we really do need key to the city in this matchup. If we make Krenko unblockable, then that will allow us to start to get those goblins on the battlefield. That's kind of one of the key things, and then we can start to get some good Voltron pieces. So we did cover both commanders. It is free time. We can have some fun. Now, as far as this deck goes, this is your standard goblin tribal deck. You know, we've got every goblin lord in here, because that's just one of the best ways to buff up Krenko to get those goblins on the battlefield. Outside of that tribal aspect, we do have a little bit of a Voltron, and it's mountain. Yeah, I think we just go Krenko. I think that would work. Enters the battlefield. Yeah, let's just go and go for it. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. We're going to get the nice enter the battlefield trigger. And the next turn, we can go for Key to the City if we want to. And I'll explain why we have Moonveil Dragon in this deck. So let's go Impact Trimmers. And let's get Psy. Put Psy. Yes, definitely want to use that ability. It's going to make it a 2-3. And that'll be 1 damage up top to our opponent. And then anything else, kick it back over to our opponent. But yeah, you know, at the core, it's going to be a nice little Goblin Tribal deck, which is one of the best ways to really kind of buff up Krenko. Outside of that, you know, there's a lot of times where we just need to get the Krenko ball rolling. We want to get goblins on the battlefield. We have a lot of spells that generate a lot of mana equal to the number of goblins that we have. We have some damage spells that care about the number of goblins that we have. And so running just kind of different things like Psy, you know, it may seem insignificant. It was just a little 1/1 that gives them +1/+1, but it has a free equip, so you can get it down on turn 1. Krenko enters the battlefield. He's already at 2-3 now. There's just a lot of times where you can make it to where Krenko can just really kind of start to kind of snowball these goblins. And imagine Mere Battlesphere with a bunch of goblins. That's kind of what we're doing with Krenko. You got to start with one goblin somewhere and then slowly roll them into a really big Katamari goblin ball, which is really fun to imagine. I like that. We could go Goblin Trash Master, but I kind of want to go Key to the City. I think that'd be pretty good. Let's go Key to the City. It's going to be 1-2. And we go land drop for the turn. I think we just go Bury Ruin. Yeah, because we want to get some goblins go. Oh, yeah, we can still. So let's go ahead and Krenko can't be blocked. Let's discard Mountain at this point. Actually, well, if we end up getting down Goblin Trash, yeah, we'll go and get rid of Mountain. Yeah, I think we're okay with that. Because if we get Shrine down, we get some Devotion going, then that'll really kind of add up. So let's go and push in with Krenko. We've got to keep up with these Thopters somehow. Let's go and swing in, put a +1 counter on it. Oh, look at that, Impact Trimmers. And we do not want to attach, you may attach it. So let's go and always yield to the Impact Trimmers. And I think we're going to always, we're just going to click no right now on that and always yield to this trigger. So that way we're not having to put the Psy piece of equipment on there. All right, so we're going to swing in. We're going to knock them down to 23. And then I think we'll just go and pass the turn. Now, we do have Goblin Trash Master in the hand. It's going to be really good. Sacrifice a goblin, destroy target artifact. We're playing against an artifact deck. So we'll see. And just a quick reminder, we are playing against a friend of the channel, friend of the Discord, Damon. And so we'll see if we end up getting down Goblin Trash Master just yet. I'd like to see. Damon has always talked about how fun their build of Psy is. So I kind of want to see how that build of Psy goes. So it may not fabricate. Okay, so we'll see if we're going to get that Goblin Trash Master just yet. I mean, we do have a really good line of play going for Ethereum Sculptor and Strionic Resonator. So we might end up getting it down just to get a few extra goblins, but that's basically just going to shut them out of the game if it resolves, especially them being tapped out. So we'll see if we end up getting down Goblin Trash Master. I like to treat 1-versus-1 commander. I like to treat like I'm playing with some of my buddies, and so if we're playing against buddies and I want to see what your deck can do, there's something that would just hose it, I'm not going to get it down. You know, if we're playing against a Reanimator deck, I would not slam a Rest in Peace down. So that's kind of what we've got going on right now. So Foundry Inspector. Now, if things get a little bit nutty, we'll go for Goblin Trash Master, but I think at this point, yeah, because basically we're just going to be able to keep going for Key to the City, and we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening where our opponent gets down. But that's a pretty nice start to Psy. And in fact, if you want to get into Commander, building Psy is one of the best decks out there. Not the best deck. Let me rephrase that. It's a really fun deck to pilot. Because all you do is just grab a bunch of islands, grab Psy, and grab some of your best artifacts out there. And you just get a bunch of Thopters. And it's just... you know, being rewarded for what you normally would be doing, and that's, you know, casting something like Soul Ring and getting a free Thopter with it. hey, it's a pretty good deal. So if you want to build a, if you especially if you're new to like mono blue decks, Sai is a wonderful place to start as far as a blue deck goes. And do we don't pay 2 mana to draw a card? No, I think we're okay. We're good. Thank you, Key to the City. Ooh, Skirk Prospector. Okay, so that does kind of change it. So we go Skirk Prospector. Let's get Shrine down. We go Skirk Prospector. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. So we are able to get a little bit ahead on mana with this particular one. So it's going to be Impact Tremors up top to our opponent. And I think at this point, see if we can't go for a Moonveil Dragon. Not going to use that ability. Now, if we end up doing that, we're not going to be able to swing in with Krenko. But that'll give us a lot of devotion. Because that'll be 1, 2, 3. And once we get down devotion for Goblin Trashmaster, then we can kind of clean up some of these Thopters if they want to swing in. Yeah, let's still go and get down Goblin Trashmaster. And what we're going to do on this is we're going to go Goblin Trashmaster. I'm not going to try to just kill their entire board, and we're just going to kind of just use it as a little bit of spot removal at this point. So it's going to be 1 more damage up top to our opponent. And it's almost kind of like with Goblin Trashmaster, we just kind of like metagame, but I really do enjoy the card. It's such a nice nice addition to some of these newer decks. Let's go ahead and pop Foundry Inspector. And let's do this first. So let's go see how they decide to swing in. And if they throw a bunch of blockers in front of Krenko, then we'll stop. But at least kind of use the Trashmaster. So we're going to swing in with Krenko, and let's just go and swing in with the 3 goblins. And we'll get a closer look at this goblin token here in just a second. So we're going to go ahead and push in. And we're going to hit, get these triggers on the stack. Okay, so we're going to be swinging in with a 5/6 with Krenko. We'll see how they decide to block, whether it's Foundry Inspector or a bunch of Thopters, but you know, that's a pretty good chunk of damage. You can definitely see we're just having that into the battlefield effect. Really makes this deck a lot better. And we're at the point now, let's say that we didn't have a Goblin Trashmaster on the battlefield. Even just swinging in with Krenko, even if we're going to lose Krenko to some sort of artifact attack, what we can do is basically just, you know, get those goblins on the battlefield, and that's kind of what matters at this point. So anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So opponent's going to take that hit. It's going to put them all the way down to 6. And we get a life gain from Inventor's Fair. But you kind of see what this deck is trying to do. You know, like I mentioned earlier, we can use Goblin Trashmaster as a tribal effect. We also have that nice sack of Goblin Destroy Target Artifact. Same thing with Skirk Prospector. You know, if we end up with a lot of goblins, we do have Banefire in here, because let's say that we get down the Goblin spell that says add mana to your mana pool for each goblin that you control. Then you go for something like Banefire, or by force destroy a bunch of goblins. We have Siege Gang Commander in here too, so there's a lot of really good options. And that's also why, you know, something like Skirk Prospector, if we get down Moonveil Dragon, we get to go for those 1 red mana activations. So we can basically cash in a ton of red mana activation, make Krenko get really, really big, be some really nice impact trimmers. And that's kind of why Moonveil Dragon's in here. I think outside of that, every single card in here is a goblin card besides the Moonveil Dragon. So that's kind of why he's in here. That's a really nice kind of fire-breathing effect. And it also adds some nice devotion. Just kind of something to do with that extra mana. So good game to our opponent. We're going to close it out on this one. Unfortunately, the goblins in 1 versus 1 just got really kind of outpowered side. But shout out to our opponent for playing this game. Really enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.